Que paso, fans of cinema? You got Jaime and Fuego back at you with my cohort in crime,
Cecil, Laird.
Que paso, man, and que paso to you cinema fans, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Enfuegotainment, where we cover the hottest entertainment with an edge. And today we have a film that, being in the Marvel Universe, there was some anticipation, I should say, but, did we really know we were going to get such a great film out of Ant-Man?
These guys are in the business of toppling governments. Stop them and become the hero you're born to be. The Ant-Man.
Oh my God! Sure, yeah, why not?
Now, when you're small, you're like a bullet. You have superhuman strength.
I'm getting the hang of this.
And these are your greatest allies.
Go get him, buddy! All right, please don't drop me.
That's so cool, bro.
Good, right?
I don't know if we did. Honestly, a lot of people had sort of a lackluster reaction to the trailer, including myself. I was not quite as pumped to see it as the other movies. However, leading up to it, I had heard,
obviously.
Avengers.
That got
I was
all the steam, man.
Not a big fan. Yeah, the Age of Ultron really took the wind out of Marvel's sails, in my opinion. But this
Ours too.
this one, honestly, that sailboat, freaking. The sail dropped down.
It's not a schooner, it's a sailboat.
It popped up in a freaking Mallrats.
Mallrats. We're excited for Mallrats. Yeah.
But so it's like a sailboat was cruising, right? The wind came out of the sails in Age of Ultron, and then the sail disappeared, and they popped out a huge double motor and freaking took off with Ant-Man, because this movie was tons of fun.
Loads of it, in fact. And I gotta say, it might have supplanted Jurassic World as our most fun at the box office this summer.
I have to agree. Jurassic World was the wish fulfillment of 13-year-old me.
Yeah.
To see more dinosaurs and in a really cool way. However,
and the park come to life.
But this one was just, it was fun from beginning to end. And I do mean fun. Like, it was just, I had a smile on my face almost the whole time. And that was in between laughs, which were prevalent. I think I might have laughed more in this than Guardians of the Galaxy. However, Guardians of the Galaxy still is just barely edging it out for the character moments, but this is my second favorite Marvel movie, and I believe I'm gonna put it over the Avengers.
That's a big statement, my friend, but you know what? I'm right there with you. I think the Avengers, the original Avengers, some think it's blasphemy. I thought it was a little overrated. I enjoyed it. 4 stars, not 5 stars, but still tons of fun. This one I enjoyed so much more, similar to Guardians. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, we have a lot of bueno to talk about.
This is how excited we are about this movie, so it should say something.
Killer, mon frere. We covered the bueno, the malo, and the feo, the good, the bad, and the ugly on Enfuegotainment.
Naturally.
And yes, there's so much bueno to cover. I think one of the biggest bits of bueno, and where I'll make the Guardians correlation, is that it was unexpected bueno. I didn't really go in expecting a ton. Just like with Guardians, I didn't know much about the character, similar to Ant-Man, and so I was like, how good could this be? And damn, did they wow me. I must say, I was really just surprised. And when you're caught off guard and enjoying something, it really just takes it to another level.
Makes a huge difference, absolutely. I mean, when you sit down to a movie not really sure what you're going to get, and then all of a sudden you're laughing, you're loving not only just the main character, but pretty much all the characters. There wasn't a single character that I was frustrated by. I was into everyone. I have
one, but
we'll get to that. But it was a great story. There was a nice, really specifically one really nice character beat that was really cool, and was immediately followed up with a good slice of humor. And that's just the way movies should be made. So hats off to director Peyton Reed for picking up the ball where Edgar Wright set it down on the field.
Yeah, and we'll probably save that for the Feo, I'd say, but the cast of men in this film did a killer job. And lots of times you're not necessarily expecting a lot from a comedic guy like Paul Rudd, but I don't know if he's the next Chris Pratt, but holy smokes, man, he shouldered the load so well in a good ensemble of other comedic characters.
For a man that's been in movies most of his adult life, he still comes off as the everyman. Like, he still comes off as the everyman. You can still relate so overwhelmingly to this character. And he's a thief with a heart of gold moving in, kind
of a Robin Hood type in the digital age.
A little bit. Digital. That's a very good way to put it. A digital Robin Hood, absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, you can't help but discuss Michael Douglas. Who would have ever thought he would be in a comic book movie?
And honestly, lending his gravitas, because him playing Hank Pym, I was worried. See, I know Ant-Man's history.
I'm not so
Ant-Man
familiar.
/ Giant Man, I should say. Because Hank Pym in the comics, largely up until the late 90s, early 2000s, was the Ant-Man / Giant Man. And he teamed up with the Wasp and was married to her for a while. And but that was Janet Van Dyne. And that is a mention in the movie.
Hence the fists I
yes,
mentioned.
exactly. So, but Michael Douglas playing him was really, I was worried about it, but it was really a stroke of genius. And again, it lended an amount of gravitas to the character that was like, oh, I'm going to take him seriously.
He's possibly my favorite traumatic actor. Falling Down, The Game.
Falling Down. The
Wall
Game.
Street.
Oh my God,
the list
you're right.
goes on and on.
Oh,
Michael
so
Douglas
many good
might be
stuff.
one of the best performers I've ever seen on screen. And so, even though I was like, he doesn't seem like he fits in a comic book movie, he really just tied it together properly.
And I actually saw an interview with him post seeing the movie where there's a scene where they go to 1989 and they show him then, and they actually de-aged him digitally.
Yeah, where he's got the
25
black
years.
hair and everything.
He's got the black
Yeah,
hair,
yeah.
no real age lines and everything, and he's like, he was talking about it. It was really funny. He's like, man, I saw that scene and I thought I could go back and do Romancing the Stone again.
Exactly. I could be Gordon Gekko and do it as a prequel. You know?
Yeah. He's like, it's funny. He's like, and a short anecdote, he said that he's got a 14-year-old kid, right? And he's like, I've been doing movies for 45 years, and in the eyes of my kid, I've finally made it.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I think you made it when you married Catherine Zeta-Jones. homie.
Oh,
So,
my goodness.
Great job there. Yeah, so some bueno for you before we jump into the very minute bit of malo. The film looked great, right? All of the effects that some of us might have been worried
And
about.
we saw it in IMAX 3D.
The only way to see it.
Yeah, very recommended. And you know, the 3D was a lot of fun with this. Like going through water mains and
the shrink scenes.
the shrink scenes
they
were
looked
done
way better
so
than I
well,
thought
and
they would.
flying through electrified mainframes and just so much cool stuff that you just don't anticipate.
And we've never seen in a Marvel movie before.
We've never seen in a Marvel
Which is why
movie.
this was so unique and can stand alone.
And I'm going to go ahead and jump into my first bueno, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
My first bueno would be how effectively, creatively, and awesomely they decided to mix the tense action scenes and then pulling back and making
Having
it
some
funny.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're fighting on, and you've seen the trailer, so they're fighting on Thomas the Tank Engine fake train, and when they cut away and you see the train crash, which again is in the trailer, it's so funny. And there's more than just that moment where they play that beat where
they
it's
crank
like
it to 11, man.
they crank it to 11, but on a subatomic scale.
Truly, yes, that's a proper in reference there, sir. Michael Pena, and then obviously T.I., you know, Mr. You can have whatever you like.
I didn't even realize it was T.I. until the credits.
He's been acting in a lot of films. I still don't know what I think about it, but he had some chuckle moments. Even him as a supporting character in this
And the
little
dude
troop
playing
of
the
robbers.
Russian,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was like a Russian Elvis-looking dude. I can't think of his name, but he was very funny, man. And the entire ensemble of this robbery team that Paul Rudd is a part of, and they're trying to essentially infiltrate, you know, this spot to steal some technology.
It's largely a
and-
superhero heist movie.
yeah, which Marvel had not done. Up to
Not
this
done.
point, a
No
heist
one's
movie.
done it yet. I haven't seen anyone do a superhero heist movie,
No.
which is, you know, okay. I'm in. I'm on board. Let's see how this plays out. You know what
Another
I mean?
reason why it was nice to see them doing something different. So,
But you're absolutely right. The acting in this movie was phenomenal. And again, with Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas, which we talked about, but the supporting cast. From not
They
only
greased the gears
not
proper.
only that trio that you talked about, I'm going to go ahead and touch on this. I loved Evangeline Lilly. She had to play sort of a hard ass, you know, ice queen
Truly.
a little bit
Yeah.
because of what the role dictated. I liked her a lot in Lost. I loved her in this.
Yeah,
she was a portion of the big character beat that I'm talking
I
about.
know she was in The Hobbit too, right?
She was, yes. She played the elf that they actually added for the movies to be a love interest for Legolas. So she was actually really good. But even aside from that, the insects, the ants, were good characters. Specifically, Anthony.
Anthony.
Anthony, yeah. It was
I know
a
you
great
told me
little
that
gag.
it almost made you like not as.
It did.
Not as
I told him this
frightening
walking out of the
ants,
movie.
yeah.
I am not an insect guy. If I see an insect and it's encroaching upon my personal bubble,
And how about those big red ants, man?
dude, and not only that, but the bullet ants that she said was the highest on the pain index.
They had all kinds of different
all
ants.
kinds of
utilized
different
in
ants.
this film.
I hate insects. I hate them. But after watching this movie, I genuinely walked out and told Jaime that I don't think I would be as freaked out by ants anymore if I saw them building their little bridge or if I saw them doing this thing. I'm like, oh, that's just them doing their thing now.
And there's a certain little pet ant that shows up at one point in the film that's actually one of the funniest bits. I
so
gotta
funny.
say.
Yeah,
So
we
good.
there's a lot we could spoil you guys, but there's a lot of funny stuff.
We're just holding back right now.
Here's the thing. I mean, I think we should think about doing a spoiler episode for this. But
Just
anyway,
might have to.
moving along. Go ahead.
So
please.
moving along, unfortunately, you have to eventually get to the Malo. We can't just gush forever about this film because we like.
I can.
I could too, but we want to look at it objectively. And the girl who played Michael Douglas' daughter, I found her very one note and very just kind of forced with her. I don't know, very one-dimensional. Ice Queen,
yeah.
Exactly right. For whatever reason, in a film where all these dudes were shining and doing so well, that was one of the few things, and I guess one of the others being a slight bit of justification that they gave for controlling the ants. I felt like they didn't explain, but it's a movie, and
You just
film
kinda,
where really
tell
grasping
them
at
what to do with
straws,
your mind,
like we talked about, for films that we've really enjoyed for this particular program. I think, with the exception of that, I'm really trying to find something here.
Yeah, we're
Is there
struggling to find
anything
the
that
model.
you can find?
Okay, here's the only thing I'll say is while I loved Corey Stahl, who played the villain, who, if you guys haven't watched The Strain, which is the TV version of Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan's.
It was a novel.
There was three novels.
Yeah.
They made it into a graphic novel series, and it's currently on TV. They just began season 2 a week ago as we record this. Episode 2 is going to air tomorrow.
Check out the horror show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where we discuss these sort of
It
things.
is so good, and he plays the main good guy in it. He did a 180 and played the main bad guy in this.
Yellow Jacket in this.
Why is this a Marlo for me? Is because unfortunately he falls into the Marvel trap of having an underdeveloped villain.
Yeah, he was barely even on the screen. I feel
Well, no,
like
he actually had a relatively amount. He
was.
was trying, honestly.
At
He
least for
spent a
me,
lot of
he
time
didn't-
trying to sell the idea of Ant-Man to the audience.
Yeah.
Not only to his investors in the movie, but to the audience. Think about what would be so cool about having a soldier this size. And so he really is
convinced me.
trying to convince the audience. So, but that's the thing. That was all it was. It was a big revenge plot, and he felt slighted, and so he was trying to do his own thing to prove his ex-mentor, played by Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, and he's trying to prove his worth, which has been done in a number of movies. So that was the only thing, a slightly underdeveloped villain, but it was such a small Marlowe in the grand scheme of Ant-Man.
He still gave a good performance, and I gotta say, I just wanted more screen time for him because he didn't seem that menacing
but here's the
until
thing.
near the end. However, the stuff that he did was effective, and this is me even backtracking.
I know,
over
I'm
the
saying your
yeah.
Malo is still a bueno. You wanted to see more of him. You know
did.
what I mean? Like that's
I did.
so take that for what it's worth, you guys. Even Jaime's Malo is actually a bueno in disguise.
Truth be told, my goodness, yes, a Malo in a suit that can shrink itself and all that fun stuff. So I guess the time has come for us to jump into the Fuego, and as much as I would love to talk about this movie for another 20-30 minutes with this guy,
Which
we have to
could.
keep things within reason.
Yeah.
Urge all of you to see it. But for the Fuego, I'd say the Fuego has to be what could have been if Edgar Wright actually did, direct this film. How much, different would it have been?
It was actually a healthy blend of what Edgar Wright does and what Peyton Reed does.
I have a feeling it might not have been as funny.
If Edgar Wright had done it,
Exactly right.
I
know
love
he's had a
Edgar
lot
Wright.
of humor
He's
in his-
really funny. I loved Scott Pilgrim. I thought there was a laugh a minute in Scott Pilgrim. But honestly, I don't know.
different
I agree.
type of humor,
I agree. It might
you know?
not have been as many laughs because
Or
there were
maybe
a
not
lot
as-
of laughs.
Maybe not as suiting to Paul Rudd's style of humor.
That's probably
Possibly.
true because
Yeah.
a lot of Edgar Wright's comedy comes from the editing, and this wasn't edited like an Edgar Wright movie. And I took note of it while I was watching because Edgar Wright has really quick cuts a lot of time, which is fun. And depending on what he chooses to show within the cuts can be really hilarious. But this was Peyton Reed did a good job of keeping the story very straightforward, but injecting it with so much humor the whole way through.
Well-placed humor, too. And, humor that was actually pauses and silences instead of those quick edits.
Absolutely.
Like you were talking about.
Yeah, you're right.
Real good ebb and flow.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, my fail, did you actually finish your fail?
No, I'd say that was probably the extent
Just
of it.
the fact that it was, he left, right?
Yeah, the fact that he left, and I mean maybe the scene where the person gets vaporized into a little puddle of glue, but other than that, I mean,
that's funny,
which was not expected.
Because Corey Stahl is trying to perfect his shrinking formula since Hank Pym won't give up his formula.
So he's like, I'll just test it out.
He tries to test it out.
Invest.
Yeah, that and a sheep.
Oh, that poor little sheep.
Poor little
so
sheep,
bad
right? So basically, he tries to shrink them, and they turn into this little tiny puddle of goo that he literally like picks up with a napkin, like a little paper towel.
Yeah, in the toilet.
In the toilet, that's it. Yeah, so that's a good one. No. There is a point in my fail. It goes back to my insect problem. And I'm gonna try and do this without ruining a surprise for you guys. But at one point, there's a thing with one of the insects that makes me really uncomfortable, just because I hate insects so much. So there's, again,
it don't bother me that much.
If I tell you it will ruin the surprise for you guys. But just know that there's a moment with an insect where I was like, ooh, not good.
Yeah, creepy crawly.
But again, if that's my only problem, if that's my only fail for the whole movie, then I say this movie is a complete A+ success.
Yeah, bottom line, the Feo and the Malo are pretty much non-existent. This film surprised me so much, and the great thing is, it may be the first in the Phase 3 of these Marvel films, but very similar to Guardians, it stands alone. You don't have to have watched any of the previous Marvel films to enjoy this movie. You'll get a little bit more if you have.
True, I do suggest at least for a particular point, at least watch Captain America 2.
Yeah.
I would say that much.
Yeah, there is a character who ties in. We will not divulge anything more beyond that. But
you're going to want, you don't even have to see, if you guys, honestly, if you haven't seen Age of Ultron, go watch Ant-Man. Yeah. You're not going to miss out on anything. You're still going to understand everything.
There's that one reference.
But the one reference to the fact that
Easter egg, man.
Yeah, a city falls out of the sky. Okay, fine.
Yeah, you broke it.
I'm sorry. But still, at this point, what's the moratorium? It's like been a couple months at this point.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, you
Ant-Man's
do not have to see it. Yeah, go see Ant-Man without having seen Avengers 2, and you're gonna have a good time. Take your family, because it works for that. There's a couple of S-bombs, and one F-bomb. No, not even an F-bomb. No, just a couple of S-bombs. Yeah. Just a couple of S-bombs, and that was it. So you can take your kids and feel safe and know that you guys are all going to have a good time together.
And not as much tension or terror even this Jurassic World.
No, you're right. I mean, less death,
as we said,
sure.
Yeah, as we said, just a lot more fun. Mm-hmm. A fun movie through and through, and fun when we weren't expecting. I was really skeptical about how the humor was going to play out, how everything was going to roll along, and it came out splendidly.
It really did. Absolutely. Yeah. You guys don't miss Ant-Man.
Don't pizza when you're supposed to French fry, and don't Avengers when you're supposed to Ant-Man. That's what I'm leaving you guys on.
There you go.
So I extend a grande gracias here as Jaime Enfuego and
Cecil
my cohort. Yeah, that's right, dude. And I have to hand it over to him now for him to give a shout out to the project that we do together aside from this.
As always, we do a horror variety show on YouTube called The Horror Show. You can check it out at youtube.com/The Horror Show Channel or at thehorrorshowchannel.com. We do horror movie reviews, how-tos, comedy sketches, celebrity interviews, let's plays we've started to do, and in fact we did our first tabletop playthrough of a game called Dysenstein. Stay tuned for that.
So much fun.
But check it out, you guys. It's a lot of good fun, and we talk about all the horror movies that this gentleman right here that talks about all the popular culture with an edge can't necessarily discuss on his channel. So if you like horror, go check it out there.
Yeah, I have an exclusive deal signed with The Horror Show for discussion of those sort of films.
Absolutely, yeah. So I would sue him, and if he continued to do it, I'd kill him. Just flat out.
I'm going to sue your ass and your balls.
I'll shrink you down to the microverse.
I know, and then he'll just stomp on me. However, I have that armor that can somehow sustain me. Who the hell knows? And you can find me, Jaime Enfuego, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, just at Jaime Enfuego. And gracias once again, all of you peeps, for tuning in, and until we get to discuss more of the hottest entertainment with an edge, adios, amigos.
Have a good day. Bye. Lion face.
Show that logo.
dumb bastard. It's not a schooner, it's a sailboat.